the mother was calling the child by the last name Vasquez.
Yes, sir.
As far as you knew, she was willing, when she believed Mr. Vasquez was the father, that the child could have that father's last name. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Am I correct that you didn't find out about Stormy until after she'd been born? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's absolutely true.
Never heard anything about a name change until now, so there's no reason to change my daughter's name. Why does she need his name?
Your Honor, if I could announce a partial agreement into the record, and then we would need hearings on the contested issues of name change and visitation. I believe the agreement is the following: that Mr. Gory is the biological father of the child, and that the parent-child relationship is established, that the parties are appointed joint managing conservators, with Ms. Ricks having the exclusive right to determine the child's primary residence without geographic location, that based on the minimum wage presumption, Mr. Gory will pay $220 a month child support and $55 a month medical support beginning the 1st of April 2025. That Ms. Ricks, the mother, will continue to apply to enroll the child in the government health plan. Ms. Ricks is not requesting any retroactive child support, as Mr. Gory has been sending her some money. And so there will be a judgment of zero child support, zero retroactive child support, retroactive medical support, and zero retroactive dental support as of today's date. The state is requesting that Mr. Gory be ordered to pay court costs as required by the Texas Family Code by March 10th of 2026. And I forgot to ask Mr. Merkel if he agrees or disagrees with that. And I believe that's the agreement of the parties.
Okay.
Judge, that is my understanding of the agreement the parties have reached, and we would agree to the court costs by that date. I think she said March 10th of 26.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Ricks, and I might as well swear you in as well, Mr. Gory. Would you please raise your right hands? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Gory?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Ricks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You can both lower your hands. All right, Ms. Ratliff.
The state calls Jalen Ricks. Ma'am, would you please state your name for the record?
Jalen Ricks.
Are you the mother of the child in this case?
I am.
And did you hear me announce the agreement as to the issue of retroactive support, current child support, and medical support, conservatorship into the record?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that what you agreed to today regarding those issues?
Yes.
Okay. And so the only disputed issues basically are a name change for your child and what the visitation should be, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and do you believe the agreements that you were able to make today with Mr. Gory are in the best interest of your child, and are you requesting that the court approve those agreements?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, how old is your child?
She is a year old, 16 months to be exact.
Okay. And how many times has Mr. Gory seen the child?
At our last hearing, Greg stated that he had seen her 4 times out of the year. Now he's saying 11. I have not counted myself, but I'm confused.
Okay. Well, how many times do you think he's visited?
With his parents, all of them, maybe 6 or 7 times.
Okay. And so does he come here with his parents each time?
Yes.
And do they come to your house, or do you pick a public place?
We pick a public place.
Okay. And where do you usually go?
Somewhere to eat, and then to Walmart so they can buy her whatever they buy her.
Okay. And how long do those visits usually last?
Usually 2 hours.
Okay. And you're there the entire time?
Yes, ma'am. Every visit I am with them.
Okay. And do you have any issue with his parents being present at all?
I do not.
Okay.
I would rather them be there.
Does Mr. Gory live with his parents?
Yes.
Okay. And what type of interactions does he have with the child during these 2-hour visits?
She usually doesn't want to go to any of them as she is not used to them. They don't see her that often. Once we go to Cheddar's, they have a fish tank. He can get her distracted a little bit to hold her for a few seconds. That's about it. He has to find a way to distract her or something to be able to keep her calmed down. Usually it's not that long because she still wants to come back to me where she's comfortable.
Okay. And are you requesting that the court continue for some period of time supervised visits where at least either you or his parents are present?
Yes, ma'am. At least a year just so we can get Stormy comfortable with them.
Okay. And do you feel that if he had suddenly visitations by himself a month from now, that your child would be in distress because of that?
I do.
Okay, not because, Mr. Gory's a bad person, just because she hasn't gotten used to anybody, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And after he has a year of supervised visitation, well, first of all, where and when should those supervised visitations be? Like what day of the week, what time, where should they be?
They usually come, if they want to continue to do what they usually do, like him and his parents come down here, they get a hotel, they keep her. I would be okay with that. Whatever they want to do in that manner of where they see her and how they see her, I'm okay with it as long as me or his parents are around.
Okay, so you're okay with that happening with just his parents and not you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
How old are
it's not against him being him, but even with myself, I live with my grandparents, and for a year I've had help negotiating the way of becoming a mother, and it's helped me so much.
Okay. And how old are his grandparents, do you think?
Maybe in their early 50s,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
late
So they're
40s.
fairly young and they don't have an issue like driving up here or being
Correct.
able to
Yes,
do
ma'am.
any of this. Okay. And after that, should Mr. Gory have like all day unsupervised visits or overnight visits? What should happen after that? Do you want to start out with like a period of all day visits where he has the child by himself and then go to maybe one night or something like that?
Yes, I would be okay with that.
Okay. And how many visits where he has the child all day by himself before he starts overnights do you think he would have to have?
At least 3 months.
Okay. And how many one overnight visits do you think he would have to have before he could have the every other weekend basically visitation?
Maybe like a month or two.
Okay. And did Mr. Gory used to live in this area?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And did you used to live where he lives?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And where does he live?
Houston, Texas.
Okay. And you live where?
In Vernon, Texas.
Okay. And you're requesting that once Mr. Gory has regular possession of the child, that he pick up the child from you and return the child to you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And
We can establish a halfway thing, but driving to Houston, I'm not doing.
okay. And is it your understanding that Mr. Gory is requesting that the child's last name be changed to his last name?
I understand, and I don't want to do that.
Okay. Would you be agreeable to the name being hyphenated?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and why is that?
I gave birth to Stormy on my own in the hospital by myself. It's not fair for me to have to change her name after a year just for him, just for
Okay.
them to say we have a child out there.
Okay. Now, did you tell him that you had the baby or that you were at the hospital?
I did after I found out that she was his. I did
Okay.
not know that he got me pregnant, so I went the 9 months and everything by myself, thinking that she was somebody else's until we got her tested that she was not this other guy's. So I reached
Okay.
out to John and I let him know.
Okay. Is there anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, do you have any objection to Mr. Gory, since he lives so far away, having some kind of electronic communication with the child weekly?
I don't. He can call me whenever he wants to. He rarely does.
Okay. And I probably asked you and I'm not sure I heard the answer. Is there any day of the week or time of day that's bad for you regarding these visitations?
I just work 8 to 5, Monday
Okay.
through Friday.
Okay.
8 to 12 on Fridays, but 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be
And
like a
when have
weekly
these
thing.
usually been happening? Have they been happening like on the weekends, or what
Yes,
days
ma'am.
have they been happening?
The weekends.
Okay. The state passes the witness.
Now, ma'am, I'm Greg Merkel. I'm Mr. Gory's attorney. He's been having FaceTime conversations with Stormy for quite a while. Is that right?
Correct? Not conversations because she doesn't speak, but yes, he does see her on FaceTime.
And has he, about how many times in January of 25 did he have FaceTime contacts with Stormy?
In 2025,
January of 25.
I can't see it since I'm on a call.
And he's been doing FaceTime contacts with Stormy for February quite frequently also, isn't that right?
Through February.
Last month, ma'am?
No.
Have there been any times when the Gory family has come to Vernon where you have denied them visitation with the child?
No, there's not a time that they came to Vernon, Texas, and I denied them visitation with Stormy. They came to Wichita Falls before her surgery. I had a family emergency where my grandpa, my great uncle had a stroke, was pronounced brain dead. My family wanted me to get to the hospital. I told them they could see her for a second. I was going to go to Vernon and we would be back and they would still see her the next day for her surgery.
When was
They
that?
did not want that. They asked to keep her. I told them no.
What
February
month was
8th,
that?
maybe, whenever she had her surgery. I have to look
And
fast. I have to look at the date when she had her surgery.
in November of 24, uh, he and his family had made plans to come with her for her birthday. And then you told him it was canceled.
They did not make plans to come down. His mother told me they had tickets for his game on that day that they could not make it, and he could not make it because if he missed a game, he'd be kicked out. They did not make plans to come to her birthday. I did
On
cancel it, and then I had a smaller get together for family and friends that they already told me they could not attend because he had a football game that they already bought tickets to.
now, I want to make sure I understand you don't have a problem, if I understood you correctly, with him having the child unsupervised for a period of time if his parents were present. Is that correct?
That's not unsupervised if his parents are present. That's supervised
Well, I'm just saying that would be okay with you. Is that correct?
because his parents are there.
Okay. And that could begin now. Is that correct?
Ms.
Hello?
Ricks?
Correct? I don't know what you're trying to get at, I guess.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you don't have a problem with if his parents are there, that he would have the child with his parents, and that would be away from you at this
If
time.
his
It's still
parents are there at all times, how would I know
okay.
that?
Okay. Now, and am I correct that you said that if his parents were there and they would come to Wilbarger County, they could have the child in the hotel room with him. Is that correct?
After a certain period of time.
After what period of
I
time?
asked for a year of supervised visits. That did not have anything to do with her staying the night in the hotel.
But didn't you just say it was okay to start the unsupervised right now with
Not
his
staying
parents being present?
overnight. Not staying overnight. It had nothing to do with staying overnight. Visiting her, not staying with them.
Okay. So just to make sure we're clear, then you're okay
Oh
with
my.
the child, with he and his parents visiting with the child as long as it's not overnight at the present time. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And how long on each visit with the child away from you with his parents being present?
It's cutting out. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that question.
How long could he have the child, for what length of time, how many hours with his parents being present? Can you hear me?
I, I, I thought we already went over this, like a day, a Saturday.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure, like a Saturday, 9 to 6.
I don't have a set hours. Like if they get here at a time they want to get her, drop her off about 7 o'clock.
Okay, so that could take place presently, is that right? How many of those visits would need to take place before he could have, again, with his parents present, at least one of the two parents present, where it would be overnight in Wilbarger County?
It's still a year of visitations before they keep her overnight.
Okay, so you're wanting a year of basically 8-hour visits in Wilbarger County before he can have the child overnight. Is that correct?
I mean, they can come down on the Friday when I get off at 12. They can keep her 12 to 7. Saturday, they can have her 9 to 7, whatever it may be. They don't have to just have one day with her, but they usually come down, spend 2 hours with her, and leave.
That's not
Now,
true.
well, just
Hold
you
on,
get a
Mr.
chance.
Gory.
Now,
I have
when
proof, but okay.
he starts the overnight visitations where it doesn't have to take place in Wilbarger County, what halfway point would you agree to for the exchange?
What's halfway between Vernon and Houston?
Okay, so if we did a Google map thing and found a point that was halfway there, that would be okay with you when he
Yes,
started.
but not every time. I'm not going to travel every time because the little child support I get doesn't support me, and what I make still does not support me and my daughter. So I don't have the money to waste on gas.
So would you agree to do the halfways for the holidays? That is for the Christmas, the Thanksgivings, the summers.
He's not getting her every holiday.
Well, that wasn't my question, ma'am. Would you agree to do the halfway meeting on his extended summer visitations?
Yeah, sure.
Would you, usually the standard possession order talks about both parents getting time at Christmas, approximately a week each parent. One year you get the week that's Christmas, he gets the week after, and the next year it's vice versa. Would you agree to a halfway point meeting on the Christmas?
No.
Would you agree to a halfway point meeting on the spring break visitation?
Are we counting spring break as a holiday?
Yeah, under the standard possession order, it is a holiday, ma'am. And usually that says in odd years, one parent gets it, the other parent gets it in even years.
No.
Well, you tell me, besides summer, would you agree to, if he was using one weekend a month, For weekend visitation, would you agree to a halfway point, 1 weekend a month?
Yeah, one weekend. Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay. And your objection is that you raised the child about the name, his name being uh, part of the child's last name, either by his name being the sole last name or some hyphenated last name. Your reason is because you gave birth to the child alone.
Never heard anything about a name change until now, so there's no reason to change my daughter's name. I'm sitting here being her parent, choosing to be her parent. It's not fair that we need to take my last name from her name just because I told John we're going to court.
Now you understand, we're not talking about taking your last name. We're talking about even doing a hyphen last name.
Why does she need his name?
Because he's the father, ma'am.
And I'm still the mother, so what's wrong with Stormy June Ricks? As her name already is, why cannot we just leave it? If that was a big enough point for her to have his last name, he should have told me he got me pregnant. He should have been there the whole 9 months. He should have supported me. He should have supported her. He should have been there. And her name would have been Stormy Gory, but it's Stormy Ricks because he chose not to be there.
Ma'am, if I understood your testimony earlier, the baby was 2 months old before you even told him about it.
No,
Isn't
she
that correct?
wasn't. No, it's not.
Didn't you say you thought it was someone else?
Again, and the next
Father?
day when I got released from the hospital, we went and got tested. It came back not even 5 days later that she was not this other guy's. I called John the same week. So if that's not in the week of what, November 10th to November 15th, a week, he knew the month I had
It was
Stormy.
around Christmas, to be
Hold
exact.
on, Mr. Gory, not yet.
I'll pass witness.
Any redirect, Ms. Ratliff?
No, Your Honor, I don't have any redirect.
Okay. Next witness.
I would like to defer to Mr. Merkel, calling Mr. Gory, if that's okay.
Okay. Mr. Merkel?
Okay, I would call Mr. Gory, Your Honor.
Mr. Gory, you've been previously sworn in. You're still under oath. You may proceed, Mr. Merkel.
Okay. Mr. Gory, we had filed a document with the court and with the Attorney General's office indicating the dates that you and your family had attempted to visit the child. Do you have that document?
Yes,
And
sir.
Judge, I don't know which number that's marked as.
I have it.
We would offer that in evidence as a summary, then I'll ask him questions about it.
Okay, has a copy been provided to Ms. Ricks?
No.
Your Honor, we don't provide other people's exhibits to Ms. Ricks, but if Ms. Ricks wants to give Mr. Merkel her email, I guess he could send it.
I'd be happy to do that, Judge.
Okay. Ms.
I'm gonna
Ricks,
send
would you like to provide Mr. Merkel your email address so he can send that to you?
At iCloud.com.
Mr. Gory, first off, you see the document in front of you with the sentence dates. We drove from Houston to Vernon to see Stormy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. As a summary, are those the dates that you and your family went from Houston, Texas to Vernon to try to visit Stormy?
9 of those are. The other 2 are the days, Christmas and her birthday, which I didn't get to see Stormy.
Okay, let's go through. So December 17th of 23, February 11th of 24, March 23 of 24, April 13th, 24, July 19th, 20th of 24, the November 15th and 16th of 24, November 26th of 24, and January 24th of 25 are all those times that you and your family drove from Houston to Vernon to visit with the child.
And February 17th, too.
Oh, and okay, excuse me. Did you get to see, well, let me ask first off, on November 8th of 24, did y'all try to drive to Vernon or what was that about?
We had plans to.
And what was the reason y'all didn't go?
We didn't get a response, and we was told that there was no birthday party.
There
Who
wasn't
told,
on the 8th.
Hold on. Ms. Ricks, you'll need to be silent during Mr. Gory's testimony.
so who told y'all on November 8th that there wasn't going to be a birthday party?
Jalen.
Okay, Jalen said that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then on December 25th of 24, did y'all actually come from Vernon, or why didn't that visitation?
No, we was actually trying to call on the phone, like the birthday as well. We also just tried to call and see her on her birthday, like Christmas, and we didn't get no answer.
Okay. And she didn't, did you let her know that you were trying to do that
Yes, sir.
and she didn't respond?
No, sir.
And then tell me again about February 17th and 18th. Y'all drove up because Stormy was having a surgery, is that right?
Yes, sir. We was trying to go down to see her before her surgery, and we got all the way down there. Had agreed to meet, and we had got to the door, and she wouldn't unlock the door, let us see the baby. We understand she has something going on, but I just wanted to see my baby for a couple of seconds. And how she said she would agree for me and my mom to be with the baby. We tried to ask her that, and she was like, no, and it was just that.
Okay. Judge, we would offer that as an exhibit.
Okay. Any objection, Ms. Ratliff?
No objection, Your Honor.
Any objection, Ms. Ricks?
Objection, yes.
What's your objection?
Well, if I had known they were going to come up with this list, I could have come up with my own on how that's not true. February 8th was not her birthday party. February 9th was. They did not try to come down February 8th to see her. I have messages from him
Remember?
saying,
Okay. All right. Respondents exhibit, do we want to call this 1, Mr. Merkel?
That would be fine, Your Honor.
Respondents exhibit 1 is admitted.
And if at this time, if the clerk could publish the other exhibit with the FaceTime information, and Judge, that has been sent to Miss Jalen, her email. I don't know if she's had a chance to open it or it got there. I know email's not always instantaneous. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
And I mean, Ms. Ricks, can you see that?
yes,
All right. Okay. Mr. Gory, this next exhibit, is that for summary purposes, a list of FaceTimes you've done with your daughter in the last 2 months, that is in January and February of 25?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Me and my mom, or just me. A couple of my moms in there too.
Okay. All right. Then. Now, and so these have been the extensive times that you or your family have been able to talk with your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you like the court to order, in addition to whatever in-person visitation, would you like the court to award you some FaceTime visitation? That is electronic visitation with your daughter on times when you can't make the trip to Vernon.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to have at least 2 or 3 FaceTime calls a week?
Yes, sir.
Is there a particular time you would like to have those take place so there's not any confusion?
I know she works. She gets off around 5, so 6 or 7.
Between 6 and 7 p.m.
Yes, sir.
What days of the week would you prefer?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay. And do you think that would be helpful for you to continue establishing your relationship with your daughter, considering y'all live so far away?
Yes, sir.
Now, am I right? It's about a 6.5-hour drive one way.
Yes, sir.
Now, I want to go ahead and talk to you about the visits when you actually got to come to Vernon and visit with your daughter. And you've got that document in front of you, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, tell me, uh, how did the visits go?
Um, they went good. Sometimes better than others, but uh, so far it's been good. She recognized me. She calls me Dad, and that's when she said I've never been down there by myself. I actually have. So, and we had a real good time. But other
When
than
was it that you came by yourself?
yes, sir. You said when was it?
Do you remember when? Yeah.
I want to say I went twice. So February and March. So February 11th and March 23rd, 2024. It was when because
That was just,
I used to go to school in Oklahoma, so I would just drive down when I used to go to school out there.
okay. Now, am I correct that you didn't find out about Stormy until after she'd been born? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's absolutely true.
Okay.
And Stormy actually
Yeah.
had a last name too.
I'm sorry?
I think Stormy had a different last name, so I don't see why it's so hard to change it. Vasquez, am I correct?
Okay. Well, so originally was she originally trying to change the child's name to who she believed was the
Yeah,
father? Okay.
yeah.
All right. Now, let's talk about visitation going forward. Would you like to have unsupervised visitation with your daughter? That is, you pick up the child from the mother and return the child to the mother at the end of the visitation.
Of course. Yes, sir.
All right. And would you like to start that where you would have at least 3 visits taking place in Wilbarger County on weekends, where you'd have the child, where you'd pick up the child at 1 p.m. from the mother and return the child by 5 p.m.
Yes, sir. I like that.
Okay. And would you want that on those weekends to be on both Saturdays and Sundays?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, would it be possible for either of your parents to accompany you on those first visits?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. After those 3 weekends of visitation, and would you like those to be like on, I don't know, can you do first, third, and fifth weekends of the month?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you make that much travel?
Yes, sir.
All right. After those 3 weekends, would you like to have 3 more weekends where you would have overnight visitation with the child, where you'd pick up the child on a Friday at 5 p.m. and return the child to the mother at 5 p.m. on the following Saturday?
Yes, sir. I would like that.
Okay. And could one or both of your parents be present on those visits?
Yes, sir.
And after that, would you like to have where you would have 3 weekends, and this would also take place in Vernon or Wilbarger County, that is, where you'd have the child from Friday at 6 p.m. to Sunday at 6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And could one or both of your parents be present at that time?
Yes, sir.
And after that, would you like what we call standard possession order visitation with your daughter with a couple of slight modifications?
Yes, sir.
That is, in the summer of 2025, you would only have an extended period of visitation for 3 weeks instead of the usual 42 days.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you live with your family?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So on the weekends and that summer visitation, is for that matter, holidays, your folks would be present. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in regard to, you heard the mother talk about meeting you halfway for the summer visitation. You heard her testify to that.
Yes, sir. I did.
Okay. And could we do just a Google Maps and figure out what's a halfway point to meet for the summer exchange for the extended summer visitation?
Yes, sir.
And you also heard her testify that whenever you were doing the weekends that were after you'd gone through the weekends where you no longer had to use those in Vernon, she'd be willing to meet you one weekend a month, or she'd meet you halfway. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And would you want that to be the first or second weekend of that month? Or y'all would meet halfway?
Let's do the first.
Okay. Do you love your daughter?
I don't even think that's a question. That's not a real question. Of course I love her. I just can't wait to get her. I just can't wait to get her here and see all my people in Houston. Like my aunties and uncles, they just want to meet her.
Okay. Now you realize what we're proposing is for at least 9 weekends, you're going to be doing those weekends in Wilbarger County. You understand that?
Yes, sir. I have no problem with that at all.
Okay. And do you think that would be a sufficient time where there wouldn't be any trauma with your daughter for you having her for the full weekends, but not having to be in Vernon?
Yeah, I think it would be just fine.
And I'm correct. You presently don't have health insurance for your daughter through your employer. Is that right?
No, sir, not.
Okay. And you're only working, I guess, part-time now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, until I find something full time.
But you're looking, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Where you live with your parents in Houston, who all lives at the house?
Me, my mom, my dad, and my niece.
And how old's your niece?
7.
Okay. Have you had experience with taking care of children before?
Yes, sir. I had to raise her. She didn't have a dad, so I had to help out.
Okay. All right then. And your home there in Houston, is it how many bedrooms?
I don't even know that. Hold up, once. I want to say 5.
Okay. And during your periods of visitation with your daughter, especially when you start doing the visitations outside of Wilbarger County, would you be willing to let the mother call you and check on the daughter also?
Of course.
Okay. All right. And you have heard the agreement that we have, at least there's no retroactive child support owed by you. Your regular child support will be $200 a month plus $55 a month going towards Medicaid. And that would be starting April 1. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you do want Stormy to have your last name. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't mind if it's Gory Ricks or just Gory or Rick's Gory. Either way, that's fine.
Anything I'm cool with.
That's all acceptable to you.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you said that originally the mother was calling the child by the last name Vasquez.
Yes, sir.
How did you know that?
She sent the picture to my mom.
Oh, okay. All right. So she, as far as you knew, she was willing, when she believed Mr. Vasquez was the father, that the child could have that father's last name. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. I'll pass witness.
Ms. Ratliff?
I don't have any questions from this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Ricks, do you have any questions of Mr. Gory?
I never was going to change Stormy's last name to Vasquez.
Okay, that's not a question. So do you have any questions of Mr. Gory?
No, but I guess we're just in.
Okay, Mr. Merkel?
That's all we have, Judge.
All right. Ms. Ratliff?
I would like to briefly recall, Your Honor, Ms. Ricks.
Okay.
Ms. Ricks, as to the list of visitations that Mr. Gory presented as a summary of when he came and visited, Do you feel that there are mistakes on that list?
Yes, and if I could come up with my own list and go actually get pictures of when they came down, I could do that, but I can't because I didn't know there
Why
was a
don't we
list made
just do
up.
this? Why don't you tell us what you believe the mistakes in that list are?
I, I would have to look at my pictures to actually say the truth here. I'm not gonna
Okay.
go on there lying.
Well, okay, so do you think there are too many visits and he hasn't done all those visits? Is that what the problem is?
No,
Okay,
I
so
just can't
what,
see for myself that these are actual dates that they saw her.
okay. But as to the number of times they've seen her, not, the actual dates, do you feel that he's seen that child, that he's seen the child that many times?
No, I mean it's been a long year.
Okay. And what kind of surgery did your child have?
She had tubes put in her ears for her ear infections.
Okay, but other than that, is she healthy?
She's fine.
Okay, doesn't have any special needs or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. State passes the witness.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Any other witnesses, Ms. Ratliff?
No, Your Honor, the state rests.
Mr. Merkel?
Rest, Your Honor.
Ms. Ricks, the state and Mr. Merkel have rested. That means they have no further evidence, no further testimony. Do you have any further testimony?
Testimony as into, can I say that I never was gonna change her last name?
Yes.
I never was going to change that baby's last name. When I had her out of my stomach after my C-section, on that birth certificate, Stormy June Ricks. That's what it's been since she's been. It was never, it was going to be Vasquez again. When I found out I was pregnant, I was with Elijah Vasquez for 3 years. And then comes John for a week. I get pregnant. I don't think that somebody for a week would get me pregnant. So I thought it was my previous boyfriend. So through the 9 months of pregnancy, her last name was going to be Vasquez. Then I had her, and we realized that was not his baby. So she was Rick's. Her name was never going to be changed after that.
Okay. Anything else?
I mean, I could object to some of these FaceTime calls, but again, I can't look at all the calls because I'm on a call right now.
Okay. Ms. Ratliff, close.
Yes, Your Honor, the state would request that the court approve the agreement of the parties. That's a conservatorship, child support, medical support, court costs, and state would request that the court make the proper visitation orders based on the party's testimony and determine whether electronic communication should also be ordered and determine whether the child's name should be changed.
Okay. Mr. Merkel?
Judge, we would request the electronic visitation as my client testified to, and we request the court set out the visitation schedule that we requested that he testified to, which would be 3 visits from 1 to 5 on weekends, first, third, and fifth weekends in Wilbarger County, picking up the child from the mother at 1, returning at 5. The next 3 visits also in Wilbarger County, being Friday at 5 p.m. to Saturday at 5 p.m. Then another 3 weekend visits in Wilbarger County, Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6. And then SPO visitation, standard possession order visitation, with a limit of only 2 weeks, or excuse me, 3 weeks for the summer of 25. And agreeing with the mother that they would meet halfway for the summer visitation exchange and meet halfway for at least 1 week in the month of the weekend visitation. That's all, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Ricks, are you requesting anything in addition to what Ms. Ratliff or Mr. Merkel requested?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I will approve the agreements made by the parties. They will be entered as the court's order. As to the contested issues, I'll try to go slow so we can get this documented. But I order a modified possession schedule allowing Mr. Gory weekly electronic visits with the child on Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that's every week. Since the parties live so far apart, I will order the modified possession in line with the standard possession order, which would be one Saturday and a consecutive Sunday of the month at Mr. Gory's choosing, and with the and also ordering that Miss Ricks be given 48 hours notice prior to that Saturday that Mr. Gory plans to exercise the possession on that day. These will be, I think, 3 different phases before going into a standard possession order. So the one Saturday of the month for 7 periods of possession will be supervised by one or both of Mr. Gory's parents, and it will take place from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, and the immediate following Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The exchanges, I believe, will take place the way they've been taking place at the residence of Miss Ricks' home. Is that correct, Miss Ricks, that that's what has been happening?
No, ma'am, they don't come to my grandparents' house.
Okay, so a public place that the two can agree upon.
Correct.
All right. Also, just to kind of ahead of that, the parties can exercise any type of visitation in which they can agree. So they don't even have to look at the schedule, but because they haven't been able to have a consistent agreement in the past, I'm just going to say that you can have any type of possession that you want to as long as you agree to it. If you can't agree to it, then you will go by the schedule. After those 7 visits are completed, then it will be the same one Saturday of the month from Saturday 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the following Sunday 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. for 7 periods of possession without the requirement of supervision. Now, that doesn't mean that Mr. Gory's parents can't come. It's just not a requirement in the order. Those will also, Ms. Ricks should be given a 48 hours notice prior to the visitation. After those are completed, it will be one night overnight from 6 p.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. on Saturday for 7 periods of possession. Once those are completed, then it will go into a standard possession order. And Miss Ricks and Mr. Gory will be required to meet at a halfway point for extended periods of possession in which would be Christmas holiday, summers, and spring break. And I will order the request by Mr. Merkel that the 2020, if all of this gets completed before, which I don't know that it will. So we won't worry about the 2025 summer request. So once the standard possession order goes into place, it will go into place. The exchange place will be as agreed to by Mr. Gory and Ms. Ricks, other than the extended possession in which they will meet at a halfway point. Because Miss Ricks stated that the child's last name would be Gory, it had Mr. Gory been there for the birth. The problem that I see is Mr. Gory was not given that opportunity, but he has made efforts to visit the child even without the distance between the two of you. So I am going to change the child's last name to Gory. I believe that Mr. Gory plans to be involved in this child's life ongoing, and the child's last name, the child is young enough that the last name change should not impact the child. And so the last name will be Gory. Now, Are there any clarifications needed as to the possession orders?
Judge, if I could, I just wanted to make sure. I got the first period Saturday 9 to 6, Sunday 1 to 6. Is that only 1 weekend per month?
Yes,
And then the next one, the second Saturday 9 to 6. And the first period supervised by one or both of his parents. The second group, not required to be supervised by parents, also for 1 weekend a month. Is that correct?
yes,
And then lastly, was the last one for another 7 periods, Friday 6 to Saturday 6?
yes,
Okay. So basically that's for 21 months.
yes.
Would he get any time in addition to those weekends for holidays prior to SPO quick?
Not unless there's an agreement by Ms. Ricks.
All right.
He could
And
choose a Saturday that's close to the holidays.
in all these, a 48-hour notice to her.
Yes.
And since Miss Ricks is here, is there a reason that we can't just do the pickup and return at the grandmother's residence so we don't have a specific conflict of them not agreeing to a public place?
It seems that they've been able to agree on a public place in the past. And
Okay.
I'm assuming that Ms. Ricks doesn't want Mr. Gory at our grandparents' home.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judge.
Any party can ask for a new hearing on any of the issues that I ruled on today, which are possession and access and last name of the child, by filing a trial de novo with the Wilbarger District Clerk's Office within the next 3 days. It must be in writing. It must specify the portion of my ruling in which a new hearing is being requested, and notice must go out to all of the parties on the case. Ms. Ratliff, I'm assuming, are you drafting the order?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Once Ms. Ratliff has drafted the order and Mr. Merkel has also signed off on the order, I will review it. Once I sign it, copies will go out to you, Ms. Ricks, and to you, Mr. Merkel. I appreciate everyone being here today. That concludes today's hearing, and you're free to disconnect from the Zoom meeting.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.